We are born sinners by nature and choice, and the world is the place where sin, folly, rebellion against God is encouraged and promoted and available. And the way it works is that Satan is at work in the world, and just think of it like a bunch of hooks with bait hung on each. Sex, money, fame, power, glory, independence, religion, spirituality, whatever it is. Satan baits the hooks with whatever it is that he thinks will tempt us to bite, and he reels us in. And the myth is that once we bite, it'll lead to joy. And it never does. Sin always leads to death. So what happens is the world is filled with temptation by our enemy. Foolishly, because of our proclivity and appetite towards sin, we bite, and we don't end up in joy. We end up in death. We end up in death. Everyone's pursuing joy, and no one can find it. That's because people are pursuing it in the world. I'll bite this hook, I'll bite this hook, I'll bite this hook, I'll bite this hook. They all go to the same place. None of them go to joy. Our joy is not to be found in the world. Jesus says, rather, our joy is to be fulfilled in us. That's what he prays for, that we would have joy. So what it means is this, that Jesus needs to do something in us so that the joy is a gift to us, not something that we pursue in the world. I believe, based upon context here, he's speaking of God the Holy Spirit. In John chapter 16, he just got done teaching in the previous chapter, so this is all in the flow of his thinking and instruction according to John. He told us that after he died and was buried and rose and ascended back into heaven, that he would send God the Holy Spirit to dwell in the Christians, to give us new life and hope and ultimately joy. Now what that means is that our relationship with the world changes. I've lived now about half of my life as a non-Christian and about half as a Christian. I became a Christian when I was 19, and coming up in October, I turned 38. So we're at about the halfway point of my life walking with Jesus. And my relationship with the world has changed. Previously, my whole objective was to get my joy in the world. Meet a nice girl, sleep with her, maybe get married, have kids, go to school, get a job, make some money, buy some stuff. Right? That was my goal, that my joy would be through the world. And then Jesus saved me, put the Holy Spirit in me, and now my relationship with the world has changed. My relationship with the world has changed. I don't see the world as the place that I go to find my joy. I see the world as the place that I go to share the love of Jesus. So the world now is not the place that I go to take. It's the place that I go to give. It's not where I find my identity. It's where I go to serve. It's not where I'm looking to be fulfilled. It's where I'm looking to love and help others. Because the longer you walk with Jesus and the closer you get to Jesus, the sadder the world becomes. The sadder the world becomes. Actually, that was one of the turning points in my life. I was in college, away from my family, away from my friends, away from my parents, get to do whatever I want. I never drank, but now I could start drinking. And I didn't womanize, and now I can womanize. And I didn't party, and now I can party because I get to start all over and reinvent myself. I remember coming down one day, seeing a gal who had gotten drunk and apparently been raped and was crying on the couch looking for her clothes. All of a sudden I realized my joy is going to be at someone else's sorrow. I didn't do anything to this gal. I hadn't gotten drunk. I hadn't done anything. At this point, I hadn't hooked up with a girl, and I hadn't gotten drunk, and I hadn't done anything. I moved into the fraternity with the hope of doing those things, and then when I saw what it looked like the next morning for the gals who had been taken advantage of, it was a completely different perspective. So I moved out. And I was reading the Bible, and God made me a Christian. All of a sudden, I saw things differently. You're supposed to love people, not use them. You're supposed to protect people, not take advantage of them. The world is not built to make me happy. The world is grievously destroyed and distraught by sin and death. And the more I walk with Jesus, I see sin and its effects in the lives of people, and it's grievous, and it's sad, and it's devastating, and it's horrible. And more I realize this world doesn't have anything to offer me to make me joyful. But the joy's got to come in me, because it ain't out there.